We've got our penultimate speaker, guest today. I'd just like to say a few words before it comes on. Johnny stood on Waterloo Bridge in London in January 2008 and was about to take his own life. A stranger passing by saw him and talked him down from the edge. Johnny was hospitalised and didn't see the stranger again, but was determined to find him through social media. The ensuing film, Stranger on the Bridge, is a remarkable journey that Johnny has taken and he's going to share with us today. A big welcome to Johnny Bentley.
Hello. I'm feeling a bit hot up because I just came into the train station and taxi driver dropped me from the train station to here, and he was saying to me, "Oh, so what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm doing a conference on suicide." He was like, "Oh, suicide, yeah, I used to work on the railways." So selfish. And yeah, you can imagine my response. So, but it's difficult, isn't it? Trying to get through to someone. He's had his own this view that suicide was selfish for his whole life, and I wish that you could sit here. Anyway, there's so much work to do. Every time I hear something like that, I just realise how much work there is to do, trying to educate people about suicide. But yeah, that aside, no, I'm very glad to be here, and I had a wedding yesterday, so sorry I couldn't be here until now. But I'm going to talk you through my experience through mental illness and through suicide. And my journey begins. I was in a key. Oh no! My mum would disagree with your. I was born 31st of January 1987 in North London, and had a fairly kind of typical childhood. I've got happy memories growing up. Things started to change when I was about 3 or 4. I started to see things, and I started to hear things that weren't there. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the BFG, Roald Dahl's The BFG. So I saw there was a cartoon version of the BFG, and I saw that when I was around this age. And from then on, I started to think that I was seeing the BFG, and I was hearing noises that weren't there. And my parents didn't know what to do. My behaviour completely changed. I became very isolated and very destructive and quite violent. Eventually, they took me to see a child psychologist. This is actually the letter to the child psychologist, and I saw the child psychologist for a while, and we worked together. She helped me through things, but I was always very different. I felt very different. I felt like an outcast. Growing up, I felt different to everyone else at school. I wasn't particularly popular, I didn't have any friends, and I struggled through school. When I was 10, I started to hear a voice in my head. I thought that I was hearing the voice of an angel. I come from a Jewish family, and I felt very blessed when I started hearing this voice. It was a nice voice. It was like a friend. As I said, I didn't have a huge deal of friends, and I liked this voice being there. It was a companion. Around the same time, I went to the cinema to see the film The Truman Show. I'm sure some of you are familiar with the film The Truman Show, Jim Carrey. When we came out of the cinema, my friend said to me, playfully, he said to me, well, you never know, but you could be in your own version of The Truman Show and you wouldn't know. And I started to really dwell on this until it became a reality for me. Until I began to, identify where I thought all the cameras were that were watching me. I started to believe that people in my life weren't real, like all my family and friends were actors. And this is going to sound a bit strange, but I quite liked it because I wasn't very popular, as I said, and I just wanted to be liked. And in the film The Truman Show, everyone liked Jim Carrey's character, so I thought, oh well, if I'm on this TV show, then people must like me. So I didn't mind it for a few years. Then when I turned about 15, 16. So you can't really see here, but I started to develop quite bad acne, and I was put on a drug called Accutane. Some of you might be familiar with this drug. It's linked to depression and actually, unfortunately, suicides in young people. And about 6 months in, I became depressed. I had these moods. These moods would just come and hit me, and there's no trigger or reason for it, but I just feel so low. And I sometimes I'd be really overwhelmed with emotion and just cry. Just have no choice but to cry, and it was so confusing because there just wasn't any reason for it. And I hated myself for these moods. You know, I was like, what have you got to be depressed about? Why are you so low? The worst thing about it was, you know, I kept it all secret because I was embarrassed and ashamed. You know, I was meant to be doing well at school in my GCSEs, and you know, I'd be predicted good grades, and you know, I needed to fulfill this, and so I had to hide these episodes. Around the same time, the voice in my head changed from what I thought was an angel to a devil. I was struggling with my sexuality as well, and coming from a Jewish background, I was told that being gay was a sin. So you could imagine what that does to anyone, really. So I started hearing the voice of this devil, and this devil would punish me and challenge me to do things that I didn't want to do. Usually things in threes. I mean, small things like I'd have to pick up a glass 3 times, and if I didn't pick up this glass 3 times, then the voice told me that I would be punished, or someone that I loved, like my mum, would be punished. She'd be hit by a car. So I felt compelled to do these things. And as I said, I struggled. The worst part was keeping it to myself. 17, I decided something wasn't right. I didn't know what, but something wasn't right. So I went to my GP, and my GP was great. I didn't say everything about what was going on, but I told him that I was starting to feel like I didn't want to be here anymore. And he was really good. He referred me on to CAMS, to the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service, who weren't so good. Long waiting list, long waiting list for therapy. I saw CAMS for 1 appointment, but yeah, there was this long waiting list. By this time I was not in a good place. I tried to hang myself in the school toilets. I was not in a good place. But again, just kept it all to myself. The thing was, I thought that I had this belief. So, as I said before, I'm from London, and I had this belief that I was going to go off to university and move location. I thought that by moving location, you could literally leave all your problems behind, like kind of a cliche. I really believed that, so I was going to move to Manchester, to university, and I was just going to leave everything behind. I was going to have a fresh start. And I went to university, and these are my housemates, and actually this one that got married yesterday. You know, on the outside, everything's great. I did well in my GCSEs, I passed my driving test, I did well in my A-levels, and on the outside, everything looks great, but on the inside, I was really struggling. Sorry. I was really struggling with isolation, and I was self-harming and using alcohol as a way of coping. I really struggled. It was all internalised. That was the worst bit about it. It was all internalised because, as I said, I was just too embarrassed and too ashamed to talk about it. You know, I was meant to be having the best time of my life, and secretly I was going to the GP and I was taking antidepressants, but I couldn't tell anyone. I couldn't tell anyone that, and it just got worse and just got worse and worse. By my 3rd year, I became psychotic. This was the first term of the 3rd year, and yeah, by this point, I believed that I was being possessed by the devil, and I went out of my student house. This was November 2007. I went out of my student house one night and I literally couldn't control what was going on. I couldn't control what I was saying, I couldn't control what I was doing, and I went onto this dual carriageway and I was screaming and I was shouting at all the cars going past, and I was just out of control. It was really terrifying. I was taken to local A&E in Manchester, and unfortunately they didn't have any beds and they couldn't help me, so they sent me away with some Valium. Luckily for me though, my housemates that you saw earlier were at home, and everything just came out. I just could not hold it in anymore. It just got to the point where, everything just came out. And they were really supportive. They didn't know what to do. They were shocked and they had no idea what to do. But they said, you need help. And they sent me back home to London to my parents to go and get some help. By this point, I'd given up, and I really didn't think I thought I'd got past the point of getting better. I really thought I'd got to the point of no return, and this is like a goodbye letter. I really thought I would have to get better. My parents took me straight away to see the GP. The GP referred me to a psychiatric hospital in London, where I went straight away. And there and then I was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, which is schizophrenia and bipolar. And it was a massive shock. And again, it was the embarrassment. I was so embarrassed that I got this label, and about where I ended up. I couldn't tell my friends, and I couldn't tell anyone. Only my parents and close family knew. I was so worried about, what's everyone going to think of me at university. So a month into my stay in hospital, I was in hospital for a month, and it was really tough. No one around me seemed to be getting any better. Everyone was just at the same level, and a month into my stay, I decided to give up. They actually let me out of the hospital for a few hours just to see what it was like. So go and have a walk outside. You've been stuck in this hospital for a month, not been outside. So go and have a little walk outside and just see what happens. And I went out, and as soon as I went out, I had this massive panic attack. And I've never had a panic attack before, but it was really frightening. And I said to my parents, take me back to the hospital. And as soon as I did, that's when I made the decision to kill myself, because I thought, what's the point if I can't even leave the hospital without having this panic attack, I'm going to be in here for the rest of my life. So that was the point that I made the decision to end my life. And then the next day, I ran away from the hospital. I told the nurse on duty, I said I need a cigarette. I don't even smoke. But I said I need a cigarette. And she let me out, and I legged it, and I went to a bridge. And I was on the edge of this bridge, and I don't know how long I was there for, but this guy approached me and started talking to me. And at first I didn't want to engage. I was just like, just leave me alone, just let me get on with this. But he was very, very persistent in a very kind way, really kind, and compassionate. And he started telling me about himself. And it turned out that we grew up just 10 minutes from each other, so we had that little connection. And he started telling me about himself, and then he started asking me questions. Why was I there, and what was I feeling like? And I started to engage, and for the first time ever, I said the S word. I said suicidal. I'd never been able to say that before. I wasn't embarrassed in front of him. In the hospital, I was embarrassed in front of the psychiatrist and the nurses. And when I said, and this isn't a criticism, it's not meant to be a criticism, but when I said to them, I'm not feeling so good today, they would say to me, we'll up your meds, or we're going to introduce a new medication then. And here was this guy that just listened, that just listened and didn't interject with, we need to do this, or well, we should do that. He was just like, just tell me, there's no shame, there's no embarrassment. That's what he kept saying to me, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. you know, I keep on talking about this word, embarrassment and shame, but that's what it is. It's all about embarrassment and shame, and to finally lose that, to finally get rid of that shame about not wanting to be here anymore was powerful. It was what I needed to finally do to finally get through it. Was for me to finally just not be embarrassed about it anymore. It was such relief just to let it out, just to talk about it and not feel that guilt and that shame. And he said to me, he said, look mate, like, I've been where you are and it gets better. And no one had, I've never seen anyone say anything like that to me before. To hear someone else to hear someone else say they've overcome it, that was, in the hospital, as I said, no one was getting better, everyone was at the same level. Just to see someone that had moved on, that had overcome those difficulties was the thing that made me change my mind. And then he said to me, just really casually, he just said to me, look mate, like, I believe you'll get better. And again, no one had said that to me before. And to have this stranger put that faith in you, because when you're in that place, you've got no faith left in yourself. So to have this complete stranger just put their faith in me was, that was what I needed. And I changed my mind about what I was allowed to do, because there was someone that believed in me and believed that I'd overcome this. And eventually I agreed to go for a coffee with him. He kept saying to me, let's go for a coffee, just you and me. And it was a freezing cold day in January 2008. And eventually I agreed, and he helped me over the edge to the pavement. I didn't know what was going on behind me, but there was an ambulance and a police car. The police charged out, and as soon as I saw them, I tried to get over the bridge. I didn't want to go with them. I wanted to be with this guy because I felt safe with him. But they grabbed me and they handcuffed me and took me away. They took me to the local hospital and sectioned me. And I was distressed, and I wasn't in a good place. But for the first time ever, I had hope. I really had hope from just talking to this guy for however long it was. Just his words, you can overcome this. Look, that changed my life. It changed my life. And I went back to the hospital that I ran away from. And I was eventually discharged, and it was tough. It was really tough, coming out of hospital when everyone else was moving forwards, and I just felt really stuck. I just felt, in limbo. I felt like I couldn't move forwards. I felt like a different person. My whole life had changed, and I just could not move forwards. I stupidly went completely cold turkey on my medication because I wanted to be like everyone else. I wanted to be like my friends who were graduating and starting jobs, and I saw them and I saw me, and I just thought I want to be like them. So stupidly I went off on my medication, and I became delusional. I started to believe that I was the Messiah, and I wrote all these letters to high profile people. This one is to Sir Paul McCartney. I never heard back. But yeah, I really believed that I could change the world. I had all these visions of how I was going to change the world. I went through a stage of thinking that I was a singer Nina Simone. I thought I was a reincarnation of Nina Simone, and again I thought that I was destined to be this big singer, and I sent out all these demos to record labels. Again, never heard back. And this is when things really began to change. So a family friend of ours had a heart attack, and I went to see him after he had his heart attack, and we sat for ages, and he just told me everything, the physical sensations of what he went through, but then the emotional side of it as well. And I sat there listening, thinking, why can I not do this about what I go through or what I've been through? How come he can talk so openly about his physical health? I can't. I get embarrassed to talk about my mental health. It's like, this has got to change. If I ever want to move forward, this has got to change. I've got to start talking. I've got to start opening up. And that night I went home, and I got my phone and I just recorded a video. I needed an outlet. I needed an outlet to talk And more than that, I wanted to connect to someone else that had been through. I knew I wasn't alone, and again, coming from a Jewish community, no one at that time had come out about their mental health issues or struggles, so I felt very isolated. I was just desperate to connect to someone else, to know that there was someone else out there that was going through these things. So I put this video out on YouTube, just to try and connect to someone, and I was amazed at the response that I got from people, well, all over the world really. People saying to me, I hear a voice, or I've had the Truman delusion, as they call it, or I've been depressed, I've been suicidal. I mean, it's such a relief to know there were other people out there that had gone through or going through it. Just not to feel so isolated anymore is such a relief. So I started making more and more videos, I started talking more and more about my mental health and my struggles, and really started being less afraid to talk to people. I went on to publish a book of poems. I wrote all these poems when I was in the hospital. I was, sorry to keep using this word, but I was too embarrassed to talk. So I wrote poem after poem after poem. It's the only way that I could communicate what was going on. And I just wanted to give other people something to relate to, because when I was in hospital, I just couldn't find anything to relate to. So it's quite strange reading these poems back. It feels like it was someone else that wrote them. It feels like it wasn't me that wrote them. But this wasn't enough. I wanted to do more. I wanted to do more to help people. I was particularly interested in mental health, but also suicide as well. I mean, suicide is such a taboo, and I'm sure you might know some of these stats, but every 40 seconds someone takes their own life. Just 3,000 people every day. But I know this statistic is quite old, but something that really shocked me is that a young person every 20 minutes in this country attempts suicide. Just know there's more that we can do. So I got together with the charity Rethink Mental Illness, and they said to me, what can we do to raise awareness? And they came up with the idea to find this guy on the bridge. I was like, nah, it will never work. I really didn't believe it would work, because I didn't remember anything about him. I couldn't remember his name, or I just couldn't remember anything about him. They were like, let's just give it a go, let's just see what we can do. So we launched this campaign to what we called it the Find Mike campaign. His name wasn't actually Mike. I didn't know, so I just called him Mike. So launched the Find Mike campaign to find this guy exactly 6 years to the day that I first went to the bridge. And we launched it on Breakfast TV, 2014. And was amazed at the response that it got. Just immediately it was just people seemed to really get on board and want to support it and want to share, and it was amazing just to be having these conversations with people that normally wouldn't have because of that shame and that stigma, and it was just one thing after the other, like constant interviews, and went viral in countries like Canada and South Africa and Australia, and it's very surreal. It was 2 weeks, the campaign. It's very surreal looking back on it. The amazing thing is, we had 38 people come forward to say, I think it might be me on the bridge, and obviously very unexpected. The thing is, though, the most amazing thing is, most of these people are genuine. Most of these people have stopped someone else in crisis. And particularly in London, think of London as like everyone's closed off and in their own world, but actually there's all these people that are helping other people, which is amazing. It was just really fantastic to talk to these people, and they wanted to know as well that they made a difference, and I said, absolutely have. The whole thing was filmed for a documentary that I'll talk about a bit later. But 2 weeks in, we finally got this email, and it basically says, it's me. This was the one account that completely matched up to my account on the bridge. It was the same position on the bridge, it was the same time of day, and everything was just matched. And so we agreed to meet, and we were reunited. I'm going to show you the moment that we met.
when we walked through the door, and amazing again, or like, I didn't instantly recognise him, but there was something there. There was something that was familiar about him as he approached me.
I saw you on TV. Yeah, I saw you speak on TV. David Davis or something.
And then it was when we sat down, we began talking. And then my own everything came back to me. You could see me on that bridge, and there it was now. It was just overwhelming.
Oh my god, like, you there? Yeah, now I think you, like, it's all come back. He's standing in front of me, and
You definitely said, it's all coming back now, and I can remember your mannerisms, and I can remember your voice, and I can see you.
You can tell him. He understands, and he doesn't judge, and he sits there with this kind of this big smile, and I think everyone could do with a friend like Neil.
It's amazing to be reunited, and we're now good friends. We're doing a project together where Neil's a personal trainer, and trying to combine his love of physical health with my passion for mental health, because there's obviously that link. So we're working on something together now, and it's amazing to be reunited and to be friends. And to be able to thank him in person it's incredibly special. We went on to go public with our reunion, and just this wave of media, and just kind of Neil was amazing. He was like cool as a cucumber. Like, I get nervous before anything, and he was just went on. He was like such a pro. It was amazing. He went on to win. Before that actually, the best thing about the whole campaign was when we got messages like this. It says, thanks for the various steps you've taken over the past few weeks to highlight mental health issues. Watching your story unfold stopped me from taking my own life. So a big thank you, mate. We've had a number of messages from people like this ever since the campaign, since the documentary, that have said, it stopped me from actually going on to take my life. And it's the power of kind of stories and the power of recovery, and telling other people it gets better. It's so important. Neil went on to win a Pride of Britain award, and it was amazing. Neil loves celebrities, so he was in his element. Like, he was sitting next to Amanda Holden was one side, and Alicia Dixon was the other, and Simon Cowell was literally directly behind him. So he was taking selfies literally all night. and Russell Brand presented the award, and he was really lovely, Russell, and spoke about his own experiences. It was really lovely. I was going through a relapse in my mental health at the time, and I think 3 days after this I ended up back in hospital. It's just the nature of mental health condition. It's just up and down. And, this time I decided to document my journey through all of it, to show people that you can recover. I called it my recover logs, because ultimately I wanted to show people that what it's like to go through treatment, and ultimately to recover. And there were times when I thought I wouldn't recover, and really dark periods, and periods of feeling really suicidal. I used the Samaritans frequently during this period, and I like to actually drop into this Samaritan Centre in the middle of London in Soho. I really like to drop in and talk to someone face to face. I mean, everyone's different, everyone's different, but I really like that face to face interaction, and just to go there and just to be with someone that understands and that doesn't judge, and you can just go there and talk. And I also like the fact that this is going to sound. I like the fact that I won't see them again, because I find it difficult as well. No, but I mean, I can't talk. I find it difficult to talk to my friends and family when I'm feeling suicidal, because I'm so embarrassed, and I don't want them to worry about me. I worry that they worry about me, and it just adds to my, so I can go to the Samaritans and just offload, and I know that's it. They had a huge impact on me and really helped me, and then I just feel a weight off my shoulders, and I can move on. Whereas if it's family and friends, they always carry it with them. So that's why, it's a real privilege to be standing talking to all of you. And I never get a chance to thank people that I go and see when I drop into a centre. So it's a privilege to be able to say thank you to you. Sorry. So it was difficult. I had a really difficult year and a half, and but finally, with the right course of CBT, I had a really good course of CBT with a trainee CBT therapist, and she was the best therapist I've ever seen. I mean, it was really the compassion and the patience as well. She just showed me so much patience and compassion and kindness and support, and so grateful to the therapist that helped me get to where I am. I still struggle, and up and down, but I now know that I can talk. I can talk. I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for my YouTube videos and the confidence that's helped. Just being able to talk and not having that shame, and I now go into hospitals and prisons and schools and try and encourage others to talk, because especially in schools, my big thing is I want to get mental health into schools. I want to get well-being into schools, because 75% of mental health issues begin in adolescence. It just doesn't make sense why we teach young people about looking after their bodies. We do. When I was at school, we did sports like twice a week. We had nothing in terms of looking after our minds, and I just know that would have made such a huge difference to me if someone would have just come into school and just spoken about what goes on in here. So now I'm trying to just launch a mental health workshop in schools called Think Well in January. And it's going down really well, and I go into schools, and some of these young people always come up to me afterwards and talk, and it's often usually the young guys that come up one-to-one individually. I find the young girls are less afraid to put their hands up and speak in front of everyone, but it's the young guys that come up to me one-on-one and tell me all sorts of things, and it does worry me. I worry about young people's mental health. There's a young boy that came up to me a few weeks ago in school, and he said, I'm really struggling. I said, okay, that's all right. And he said, I'm not going to tell anyone. I said, why? And he said, because I'll never get a job. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if you have a mental illness, or you go and talk to a therapist, it goes on your records, and your employers can see that. I said, no, that's not true at all. And you should have seen the way his face changed. He was like, really? Like, I thought, just that simple conversation cleared that up. This is why we need things in schools, So he went. He was like, okay, I'm going to go and talk to someone. I feel, now that I know that I'm going to go and talk to someone, and that's what we need. But I love going and talking to people and hearing people's experiences and people sharing, and it's so important. There shouldn't be the stigma that exists. What goes on in here is no different to what goes on anywhere else, and breaking an arm, we're not afraid to talk about it, or broken mind, it's still got that stigma. There was a young man, sorry I'm going on, but there was a young man that came up to me a few weeks ago, and he said that he was feeling suicidal, and he'd actually been to a train track. And I told him about the Samaritans, and he was like, well, I didn't want to pick up the phone. I said, well, what about email? You can email them or drop in. And he was like, really? Like, I didn't know you could do any of that. We really need to get the word out there as much as possible. There's some people, as I said, I prefer going face to face. Other people prefer different sorts of communication, but we need to get the word out there as much as possible. There's so many different ways you can communicate, and there's so much support out there, So that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. Last May, the documentary Stranger on the Bridge went out on Channel 4, and if anyone doesn't want to see it, it's on Channel 4 OD. You can catch up a bit there, but amazing response to the documentary, and it's opened up so many doors, as I was saying, about the prisons and the schools and all of that, and kind of long term, I'm starting to look at I'm going to India in June to look. I've been invited out there to look at how we can improve the mental health system there. Because when you look at India and some of the statistics there, I mean, there's 700 suicides a day in India. It's got the highest teenage suicide rate in the world, and it's just, there's so much work that needs to be done. I think not just here, but really around the world. And I think we're actually very lucky in this country. Compared to other countries, we're miles ahead in terms of mental health, in terms of actually suicide. I know we've got a lot more to do in terms of suicide prevention, and the government have got a lot more to do. But we are miles ahead, and really I just want to end by saying, honestly, again, thank you. I'll start crying again, so I'll leave it there, but really thank you.